This is WVLT News at 6.
Strong storms, heavy rain sweeping some homes right off their foundation today.
And a van crashes during dangerous weather, killing a Sevier County teacher.
I'm telling you, it was devastating.
This woman says she's humiliated after spending the night on the side of the road, trapped because she couldn't afford a tow truck.
Deadly weather sparks all sorts of trouble across the region, and we are not out of the woods yet. Thanks for joining us for WVLT News at 6. I'm Amanda Hara.
I'm Ted Hall. Glad you're with us here. In Knox County alone, rural Metro having to rescue more than 20 vehicles out of high water today. That's not stopping drivers from taking big risks. That's the ramp from Emory Road to I-75 South in Powell. TDOT saying, don't try this. Rescue crews say it gets darker, it'll be harder to see the standing water. They say you need to be extra careful, and if you can, stay off the roads.
And take a look at this video. Absolutely surreal. That is a mobile home floating down a river in Harlan County, Kentucky. Floodwater swept it off its foundation. The good news here, this was being used for storage and nobody was inside.
That's the Little River in Townsend. The water rushing, covering cars even in some spots. The roads had to be closed for a while.
And we have team coverage on this breaking news for you tonight. Our crews are stationed all across East Tennessee.
First, what we want to do is see how much worse this flooding could get. Meteorologist Austin Bowling and Ben Cathy are standing by. Austin, we'll start with you. Some of these showers are, for the most part, the heavy stuff is over, but now we may have some snow to deal with.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we throw in another wrench here. We could see a couple of minor slick spots, albeit shouldn't be too big of a concern. But right now, some good news here in the meantime is that a lot of the heavier downpours have pretty much moved on. Right now, some light rain showers in and around the Knoxville area, all the way down through Madisonville. Again, this is nothing terribly heavy, but again, just any more rainfall. We really don't need to see any more, but we will continue to see more moisture streaming back in later on tonight. Let's pick up Futurecast here at around 9 o'clock. You can see more of those light spotty showers for parts of the valley up in the foothills and the Smokies. We'll continue to see this starting to fill in a little bit more, and with the cold air spilling into parts of the plateau after midnight, that's when we start to see it transition over to either some light sleet, light mix, light snow, and eventually that will continue to change over for areas around Campbell County, Claiborne County, all the way through the early morning hours. And that's when we also start to see it transition into the higher elevations of the Smokies. The lower elevations, still more light rainfall and maybe a wet snowflake mixed in. By the time the school systems that are still in effect for Friday go back to school, we could still see a couple of light snow showers at the lower elevations. But because of that threat, we do have a winter weather advisory and a WVLT weather alert for the morning commute for that threat of some light snowfall up into the higher elevations. That includes Cumberland and Fentress County, most of southeast Kentucky, and the higher elevations of the Smokies above 3,500 feet, where we could pick up about an inch or two up along the plateau, and 2 to 4 inches possible up into the higher elevations of the Smokies. We'll time that out coming up for the weekend here in just a few more minutes. But we want to put some perspective on some of this rainfall we picked up here over the last couple of days, and meteorologist Ben Cathy giving us a little bit of a historic look back. Ben.
Yeah, absolutely, Austin. A humongous amount of rain, not only this year, but the past 2 days alone, more than 5 inches at McGee-Tyson Airport and across East Tennessee and southeastern Kentucky, right along the border. Scott County, scenes like this playing out today. This is from our weather vault, Nikki Walker, near the courthouse. Normally, just a little stream. Today, a absolute waterfall. The past 2 years, TVA's wettest years ever. We have 12.91 inches of rain so far this year, and the rivers are still rising. So how does this compare to last February 23rd's rainfall and flood event, which was a 100-year flood? Well, the past 2 days at Knoxville's airport, 5.13 inches. In the background, fresh drone video from the Powell area, not too far from Beaver Creek. Back then, that Saturday, February 23rd, 5.08 inches. The difference, most of that, was in one morning. We'll send it back to Ted and Amanda.
All right, Ben, thank you.
Now, speaking of TVA, engineers are working around the clock to manage high water, which in some spots is feet above normal. If you live or work on the water, watch for rapidly rising water levels.
In Wares Valley, a teacher has died and others are hurt after a tree fell on a van, tearing its roof off today.
Happened along Wares Valley Road around noon. Brooke Sampson taught 4th grade at Sevierville Intermediate School, according to the school's website. She had a doctorate degree and went to ETSU. She was also a part-time city employee. That's why she was in the van. Her husband was in the van as well, but survived. Abby Casares is live for us tonight. Abby, this has really got to be tough for everyone involved.
Yes, a difficult day in Sevier County. We aren't far away from the accident site where we are right here. The city of Sevier says that 6 city employees were in that van. They were attending a meeting in Townsend. Now, we were headed back they were headed back from that meeting when a tree fell on their van. The heavy rain softened the ground and brought the tree down, ripping off the roof off of that van. The accident claiming the life of 36-year-old Brooke Sampson, a teacher in Sevier County. Her husband worked for the city. He was also on the bus. So far, the city has released the names of the other employees, but not their condition. People have been expressing all over social media their sympathies and their prayers for the families of those employees who were in that van, especially for Brooke's husband. Now, I talked to one man who says that Brooke's loss will leave a hole in the heart of that school where she worked. Live in Blount County, Abby Casares, WVLT News.
All right, Abby, thanks.
Let's get a look at traffic now. Dealing with our main roads, no big deal. But folks, we have up to 70 roads that are closed because of high water just in our viewing area alone. We're going to show you a couple of the main ones. All those little yellow markers you see there, those are roads that are closed because of high water. Concerns about the Emory River being 28 feet higher than it was yesterday. Yes, 28 feet higher than yesterday. And you can see Highway 27 just heading northwest of Winslow is shut down both directions because of high water. Not a big problem in downtown unless you consider some of those smaller roads, the side streets that are closed because of high water. We have a lot of those. Problem on the interstate headed eastbound on I-40. As you get to exit 407, the most popular exit on that part of East Tennessee, you're going to hit traffic backing up for almost 8 miles because of road work being done on Interstate 40 eastbound at mile marker 414.
A pothole stranding drivers on I-640. An elderly woman spent the night inside of her car. She hit a series of potholes last night, says she couldn't afford a tow truck. Ariel Starks shows us what's next for Henrietta French.
I'm just going to be quiet. I urinated on myself. I'm on medication for a lot of things, and I'm stuck right here, stinking in my car.
Henrietta French says she's humiliated after potholes caused flat tires, forcing her to spend the night in the car.
I'm telling you, it was devastating. I was driving down the road and it was pouring down rain, cats and dogs, you might say. I hit a big, huge pothole, probably more than one, it sounded like, and immediately I knew it blew my tires out.
Henrietta says a line of cars were pulled over as well, all with flat tires. She was the only one who couldn't afford a tow truck and spent the night on the side of the road.
I don't have any way of paying for a record. My funds are depleted right now.
WVLT News helped French call relatives for assistance. Ariel Starks, WVLT News.
Now, we did go back out to the scene to check on Henrietta, make sure she was okay. By that time, her car and her were both gone. So we're hoping that everything was resolved for her.
All right, if you did hit a pothole and you want to file a claim, head to the WVLT News app and you can find out more about how.
Well, take a look at this. A football field at Lake City Middle School in Rocky Top completely covered in water.
Look at Powell. Nothing new here. The fields, baseball, softball fields flooded once again. We say again because just last year, around this same time, late February last year, those fields flooded, leaving a lot of damage.
Yeah, since then, crews have really been trying to get this field ready for play, but this could delay the softball team season yet again.
Yeah, baseball team as well. Robert Grant live out there at those fields. Robert, you spoke to the softball coach. What's he feeling like after they spent a bunch of money and a lot of time getting these fixed because of last year's flood?
Ted, I think you're feeling frustration. You know, heartbreak is what happened last year, but this time it's happening again. Now they're frustrated. I want you guys to take a look around here. The baseball and the softball fields just behind Powell High School. You can see right here, you're talking about just a foot deep, but closer to Beaver Creek, that's like 5 feet deep. You can tell because of the fence line where all that water is. And when you guys look over here, you can see some of this plywood the coaches put up here trying to protect the fencing here because this is not cheap stuff. Last time they tried to fix it, cost them about $20,000. Now you're looking at possibly doing this again. Yeah, of course, a frustrating thing for them. The coach also from Powell, he says, yeah, this has happened before, but he said it didn't happen quite as bad and not nearly as often. Here's what he had to say.
You know, I graduated here in 1988 also, so I've been in the community most of my life. This used to be a once every 10, 15 year occurrence, and I don't ever remember it being to this extent.
Yeah, now they have official practice starting on Monday, so just days away now. Now they got to deal with this. Not sure exactly what they're going to do yet, the coach says, but of course they will be monitoring, meeting with the folks this weekend to figure out what to do next. Right now, a little bit of good news, you won't be able to see it, but the tarp on the other side, coach said last year that went up into the trees, got all ripped up, torn apart. This year it stayed on the field there, so hopefully saving a little bit of money, but $20,000 not cheap for these high school teams, Ted and Amanda. An unfortunate and a frustrating thing for them to see once again.
Yeah, definitely got to be frustrating, that's for sure. Robert, thanks. Well, this is how things looked at Carter Middle School this morning. Knox County schools forced to suddenly call off class today, giving some parents really less than a half-hour notice to come pick up their kids.
I'm self-employed, so I am having to put jobs on hold to be here.
I'm here to pick up my grandson because they don't know when to call schools off. They should have looked outside and seen how all the damage is done instead of endangering all these kids' life.
A lot of teachers, a lot of parents upset. There was flooding last night and still 2 more inches of rain falling in the forecast overnight. Knox County schools still didn't cancel class despite the forecasted flooding until kids were already in school.
And especially after this video appears to show a school bus stuck in floodwater outside Farragut Intermediate School. The assistant superintendent tells our Kyle Granger that they cannot predict the weather.
Knox County Schools Assistant Superintendent John Ryswick stands by the district's decision to have school on Thursday. He says conditions began to deteriorate rapidly while kids were on the way.
We're going at that point, no reason not to, and then getting students safe and secure at school. During that time, we saw water rise. We saw, roads that were clear all of a sudden not be as passable as they were.
He says the issues were rising water at some campuses and on roads that were becoming impassable.
That our biggest issues for that were, as conditions continued to deteriorate, we had some issues coming up about some of our campuses, not many, but some of our campuses were having access issues.
Ryswick says the district sent out teams to check the roads, and even with the forecast, they felt comfortable sending the kids to school.
The data we had at that point was a decision that to continue to have school. We do again understand that this short turnaround is inconvenience for parents who work and those sorts of things, and that's why our staff's willing to be at the school until all the students are home.
In Knoxville, Kyle Granger, WVLT News.
Other schools around East Tennessee will be closed tomorrow as well. We've got a full list in the WVLT News app.
This in downtown Sevierville at Eastgate Road, New Salem Baptist Church, surrounded by floodwater. Streams and rivers in that area still swelling and still overflowing.
Now, Justin McDuffie joins us live from Sevier County. Justin, they've got a lot of problems on their hands. You've seen water in homes, more than 100 roads closed, even a flooded RV park.
Yeah, Amanda, it's been a very extensive damage here in Sevier County. Right now, I'm on Eastgate Road, as Ted just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. This area hit pretty hard thanks to Middle Creek behind us here. You can see the water several feet deep behind us, even coming up to the bottom of that road closed sign here. So lots of water still on the roadways. Good thing to point out here is that the water is receding in Sevier County. We were at that RV park a little bit earlier this evening. The water had gone down several feet from where the the leftover debris was from where the water went down, so it had gone down several feet. We've also seen where it went out of the water had risen into some homes and come out of others. Other drivers still driving through these closed roads, so that's a good thing not to be doing, as these road barricades are still up throughout Sevier County and throughout East Tennessee. Don't drive around them. Those things can be very dangerous. Live in Sevier County, Justin McDuffie, WVLT News. Amanda?
All right, Justin reporting for us tonight. Justin, thanks. Authorities say do not do this. This is video from the Food City in Halls. Rescue crews say you should never play in flood water because of sewage, bacteria, chemicals, a bunch of other stuff. You just don't know whether it's in the water.
You know, every time we get heavy rain, it seems West Knoxville floods, at least the last couple of years. What's the county doing to fix the area of Bluegrass Lake? That's North Shore Drive, not far from where Ebenezer joins it. County commissioner says they've used robots to discover that it is slow to drain because there's such a slight grade in the drain. They're working to increase that and add a second pipe. Maybe that'll help as well. To look at Harlan County, the floodgates closed there. Harlan County Courthouse open as a shelter. People all over East Tennessee struggling.
And that's not the only shelter that's opening up tonight. In Blount County, Heritage High School operating as a shelter as well.
In Sevier County, Pigeon Forge Community Center and Gatlinburg Community Center, both letting people stay there tonight. We have all the details if you need a place to stay on the WVLT News app.
And just to add a bow to all of this, on top of all the flooding concerns, we're talking about a transition over to some light snow for the higher elevations. We'll show you who has the best chance at picking up some accumulating snow up next. Bringing you up to date to the rainfall we picked up last night. Average is about a little over 5 inches to date. 10 2/3 inches of rainfall, putting us nearly 5.5 inches ahead of the pace. And again, numerous areas picking up widespread 3 to 4 inch rainfall totals. Some isolated 5 mixed in there as well over the last 24 hours. And again, a lot of that rainfall heading right towards many of our creeks, rivers, and streams. So each one of these green boxes from Southwest Virginia, Southeast Kentucky, up into Claiborne County, also into Cocke, Sevier, and also in Morgan counties. All of those are flood warnings for each of those creeks and rivers, and those will remain high here for the rest of this evening, and all of that still has to funnel its way through eventually down into the Tennessee River. So right now, a lot of the shower activity has wound down for now. There are some light sprinkles in and around Knoxville, Maryville, all the way down through Madisonville. But a lot of the moisture is going to start coming back in slowly later on this evening through the overnight and eventually transitioning over to a little bit of light snowfall. A winter weather advisory in place for the higher elevations of the Smokies and also Fentress, Cumberland County along the plateau and all of our southeastern Kentucky counties. All the way until Friday afternoon. We could pick up a quick 2 inches up into the plateau, also 2 to 4 inches possible for the higher elevations of the Smokies. So here's Futurecast by 10 o'clock. You can see a few more scattered showers, light showers working their way through. And then around midnight, we start seeing enough cold air that this begins to transition over to either a light mix or some light snowfall for the folks around Crossville, Jamestown, Oneida, and the Wartburg area. Still some light rain here across the lower elevations of the valley. But then we start to see this spreading into parts of southeastern Kentucky, Campbell, Claiborne counties, maybe northern Union County, seeing a little bit of light snowfall there. Even the higher elevations of the Smokies beginning to see the transition there too. By the time we're heading out the door tomorrow morning for any of the school systems that are still heading to school coming up on Friday morning, we may see a snowflake or two mixed in amongst the lower elevations. But most of this will be confined to the areas outlining the valley. Again, out the door in the morning, some light snow showers, temperatures a little bit colder, down around the mid-30s, and we'll continue to keep these light snow showers around for Plateau, Southeast Kentucky, into the Smokies, all the way through the afternoon, with temperatures staying pretty chilly down into the upper 30s. So all told, Friday and Saturday, looking like this, anywhere from a ½ inch to an inch possible up along the plateau. Some pockets of locally heavier amounts possible over into Middle Tennessee, maybe as far east as Jamestown, and up into Lee County, Virginia, and outside of Harlan County, Kentucky. Valley not expecting too much, especially with all the rainfall that's all over the ground right now. But some of the higher elevations of the Smokies, a quick 2 to 3 plus inches of snowfall. And then we're talking about more rain coming in. More chances first thing on Monday. Looks like we get another scattered chance for the valley and the foothills for Tuesday, a bit of a break on Wednesday, and then more rain coming in here heading into next Thursday. So obviously all eyes turning towards more rainfall for next week. But in the short term, rain turning to snow tonight, sticking around off and on through Saturday with highs in the upper 30s to low 40s. Sunday, nice temperatures into the 50s, but then off and on rain chances for much of next week with highs in the 50s and 60s. We'll be back. Well, while most of the rainfall has tapered off for now, we're going to see more showers moving in overnight, transitioning to some light snow first off in the plateau after midnight. Smokies later on in the morning. We could see a few flurries or light snowflakes here in the valley first thing out the door in the morning, but don't expect much to stick out there. We're going to see off and on chances all the way through your Saturday as well.
All right, look at that. Animals' homes getting too close to the roads. When it rains like this, we got flooding all over East Tennessee.